What's up everybody, Coach Mills here coming at you with a brand new Valorant video, and in this video we're going to be breaking down one of the best aggressive based Valorant players in the entire game in SINATRAA, and we're going to be breaking down some of his fantastic SOVA gameplay, but it's going to have tons of tips and tricks about any character so that you can start incorporating this aggressive playstyle in your games and get some free kills in the process, because SINATRAA incorporates this type of aggression that almost no other pro player does. And we're going to show you exactly how he uses it to really dominate his opposition and make it look like he's legitimately smurfing in Radiant. But climbing there yourself is as easy as going to the GameLeap website in the links down below, because we have in-depth Radiant VOD reviews, advanced tips and tricks, and much more. Right now we have a special 50% off sale, so don't miss out on this amazing opportunity to level yourself up and climb the ladder with ease. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now right off the bat, you're going to see exactly why SOVA in particular is so powerful on Ascent B Defense. It is just one of those picks that's like absolutely necessary, because a SOVA solo can really hold B side alone. Now the enemy is gonna push in aggressively on B by kicking it off with the breaches ult, and they're gonna go in extremely aggressively at SINATRAA, who falls back to point. Now something that he does though that's pretty important for you to start doing as well is when you get tagged by breaches ult but you have some time, you should try to be using your abilities as much as possible to delay, to give you time to get your gunplay back to normal. You see, unlike the gun slows, there is no slow on your ability use, and he double spammed the choke with his shock arrows, which you'll see later on actually did 165 damage and really contributed to easier duels later on for him, and just doing a lot of damage in general for easier trades by his allies. This is so important to do. If you're ever in a situation where enemies are pushing in really aggressively and you are getting hit by an ultimate or stunned or anything like that, you have to be putting pressure on the enemy, and of course specifically against breaches ult, you should be using your abilities. And notice how he did a double spam and choke, because enemies that cross through, they have to cross through that, and it's always good to double spam, because sometimes an enemy will start to walk through, they'll get hit, they'll start to retreat, and they'll get hit again. That didn't happen in this scenario, but that's the most consistent place that you're likely to get damage from, and sometimes you can get a kill in the process. Now all in all, a lot of this play really allowed him to get a double kill here, and while he didn't just kill everyone himself, he did get a lot of value in this scenario, and it really helped his team clutch it up, because if you can hold a point alone, even up against all this utility and an ultimate, and still get 2 kills, that is just freaking ridiculous. And if you could do that every single time, you're just gonna climb over and over again. Now later on in the game, check this really cool thing that SINATRAA does, and he actually does this a lot, where he'll throw his arrow and he will instantly check the map, because what he's trying to do is he's trying to look and see if anyone gets revealed, and the second they do get revealed, he's gonna pop his ult. Now it doesn't reveal anyone, but he does something pretty cool where he actually pings 2 positions, and the reason he does this is while he's ulting, he gets relative position of the exact area that he wants to hit or hit near. And on top of that, he's gonna do something incredibly underrated with SOVA's Hunter's Fury, where he's gonna check multiple areas for information. He's gonna follow up on any damage he finds, of course, but when he didn't get damage or he didn't tag anyone with the first 2 places he checked, he instantly whips to the A site, shoots into that default, and actually tags someone, and that gives him free information and damage. This is something that SINATRAA does a lot that I don't see very many SOVAs do at all, even in the higher ranks of play, and it's because people just want that guaranteed value. But the thing about this ultimate is a lot of times it can be used for information gathering, and if you connect a lot of times, you're gonna end up getting a lot of kills, damage, info. It is incredibly worth it, and it's a very powerful way to use the ult. Now something that I'm sure that you have tried to do in your game, specifically on Ascent or pretty much any map, is you want to push out and you want to make a flank play, right? Sometimes you want to actually push out of the defensive zone and go make a play, which can get a lot of value, especially if enemies aren't expecting it. Now Marv is gonna get a kill on B main, and he is probably just like you, where he wants to flank, he wants to do more. But the thing is, the problem with pushing out is there's so many different places that enemies can hide from, and there's so many different angles where it's very hard for you to make an effective flank. Now what SINATRAA calls, he's like, hey, let me drone you out, let me drone you out. And what he does is he instantly drones out, he's gonna tag someone mid, which makes them zone away, and he's gonna specifically check behind boxes. That's an area that any enemy would probably hide behind if they thought that someone was pushing out, and because he found that person, he gave that person no outs. They got a second kill for free. Otherwise, otherwise maybe Marv would have pushed up mid, would have got caught out, or he would have had to swing that and he could have gotten killed as well. So being able to set up drone plays not only on attack but on defense when you're making an aggressive play, because you can basically claim space with it, and if you ever catch an enemy in any of these cubbies, they're basically dead to rights where they just have no out. I mean, Marv flashed him and SINATRAA hit him with a shock dart. There's just nothing he could absolutely do once his location is known there. But if you don't check it, or you just don't send out the drone, you just say, oh, maybe there's someone there, or probably not, you're probably gonna get killed, and maybe both of them would have got killed if they would have pushed further. But instead, they got 2 kills in the bag, and that was super easy. Now move on to the next engagement. SINATRAA is gonna show us again why SOVA is so strong just on defense on Ascent to begin with. You see, we talked about defending B and how comically easy it is, especially because you have all that info and you can just do the wall bank strategy. So if people are protecting your mid push when you're on B, you can just dominate on the B site. But on top of that, retaking A is super easy with SOVA because of all the rollouts and wall banks that you can do from on top of A heaven. If you're up there, you can easily challenge Hell, you can challenge their default plant zone, you can basically flush out so many different areas with SOVA, and that is why just SOVA is basically a must play in my personal opinion, and pretty much every single team is playing SOVA on Ascent, but just in general, I think SOVA might be one of the most powerful characters in the game. Now moving back to SINATRAA playing defense on B, a lot of times you could have people holding your mid, and it's really important that they do so. So being able to help them in any way you can is absolutely great, and SINATRAA shows us this easy setup for a mid recon arrow. Now this arrow is not very difficult to pull off, and I'm pretty sure that the movement or where your foot is doesn't really matter all too much, because you're just trying to get in that general area on top of the wall, and if it tags anyone who's not expecting it, this lets someone either playing cat defense or playing mid play aggressive, or it can shut down a push altogether. This is a great way to support your team, track for rotations, protect that mid zone, because you got to remember SOVA is really good at retaking A and really good at holding B, but he can get challenged from mid. That is like his weak spot, right? So he really wants to benefit or help the people mid in any way he can, and this is something that you should probably learn. Try to practice it a couple of times to get it right, little alterations here or there, but if you learn simple recon arrows like this, you're going to be able to help out your team a lot, and it's going to bring more value than you realize. Now speaking of retaking A, I want to show you an arrow spot that SINATRAA uses, and he often will double up this arrow spot for retakes because this shocks default plant area around generator, and it's incredibly strong because when someone's planting or hanging around there, this can be a great way to clear them out. On top of that, he will wall bang these specific spots on the ground to make sure that he clears out Hell, and of course he will try to check it with his arrows as well. You see, he's playing retake pretty much how you should always be playing SOVA, and I think a lot of people just don't understand the power that SOVA has. Using all your utilities and simple bounces, you can systematically check this entire area, because what happens if you're just a random character that has no utility and you're just walking to heaven? What do you have to be afraid of? Oh, you have to be afraid of closable doors. Oh, you have to be afraid of a main. Oh, you have to be afraid of Hell in 2 different spots, and generator, and behind wooden box on the left side. There's just like a ton of places you have to worry about, right? But with wall bangs, you can check some of these places. With recon dart, you can check some of these places. With the shock arrow rollout, you can get people away from generator. You see how you're slowly and systematically either getting free damage on enemies or clearing areas? This makes it exponentially easier on you to actually take site control, and that's why it's so important for you to do that. SOVA is one of those characters that you can get tons of value on him just by using your abilities alone. If you combine that with decent gunplay use, you're gonna easily be able to climb on this agent just like SINATRAA. Now in this next clip, I want to really showcase how SINATRAA ults a lot of the times when he's trying to use it proactively. He will back away from the source, basically back away from where the enemy is, because he has a pretty long effective range and he doesn't want to set himself up in an area where it's easy for enemies to push him without him being able to cancel it. Then he's going to pop his ult, and he's going to ult based on some known information. Now as an added tip, team killing is just some free value here. Come on, you got to tank your allies KD so that you have better relative stats and climb more. Come on, this is the true pro stuff that you're looking for. But all joking aside, SINATRAA got a kill with his ultimate, 2 kills actually, and then he actually uses recon arrow to try to check Hell to get more information about site. Now the Phoenix is going to shoot that here, which I'm going to talk about in a second, and SINATRAA's going to know exactly where the Phoenix is. Now watch as SINATRAA gets in basically a counter strafe match with this Phoenix, and this just really shows how comfortable and confident SINATRAA is in his gunplay. He's jiggling in and out, and on top of that, he's going to actually grab a nearby weapon for a free ammo so he doesn't have to reload. Using anything that you have access to, and oftentimes picking up a weapon so you don't have to reload, is legitimately better because it throws enemy off guard when they hear that reload sound and you're peeking hypothetically before you should be ready to fire. Now, when it came to this really long, actually scrappy fight, you could see just how much better SINATRAA's counter strafing is than this enemy Phoenix, and he actually just dominates him here. And I think at this point SINATRAA's like 12-3 or something like that, and he ends this game with almost no deaths at all. He just dominates this entire game, making these other Immortal and Radiant players look like freaking plats. I mean, he's destroying them. Now, that being said, this is actually a teaching moment. What do you think that Phoenix should have done differently? Well, in my personal opinion, he should have never shot the arrow to begin with, and instead should have hid behind Generator in a way that SINATRAA couldn't see him from heaven, and on top of that, SINATRAA wouldn't have known his exact location. Now, SINATRAA would have been able to make some deductions, sure, based on where the arrow hit down and the fact it didn't get shot, but he wouldn't know fully where the Phoenix is, instead of just giving away your position, because the thing you need to understand is challenging the high ground when you're on the low ground puts you at a fundamental disadvantage, and I've broken this down in other videos, but basically, you want to use the element of surprise here. You want to force SINATRAA to come down and give up his location and his information, put him on more of a time crunch and more pressure, rather than just him using just one arrow. You give away your exact position, and then you try to engage with SINATRAA. That is just a very poor way to play this, but definitely let me know what you think the Phoenix should have done in the comments down below. Do you think he played this okay? Do you think he should have stood his ground and instead of trying to jiggle peek, just tried to click the head? Definitely let me know what you think he should have done to clutch up the round in the comments down below. But if you like this in-depth analysis of SINATRAA, we have so much more analysis and pro VOD reviews on the GameLeap website. So if you love this kind of stuff, go check it out in the links down below. And right now, we got a special 50% off sale, so don't miss out on this amazing opportunity. But that's all we got for you today. Thanks so much for coming by. I'm Coach Mills, and of course, until next time,